everybody's setting up for their parties and whatnot. Got my own party, got the after party I'm spinning at. But I'm just gonna give my final thoughts on that. But before we get to that, I haven't made a video in a minute, so there's some things I wanted to touch on, I guess, since like I said, I haven't made a video in a minute. This past weekend, last weekend, we had Saul Canelo Alvarez fighting Kermit Cintron. This was a fight, I believe, I picked Canelo to win, but it was, another step up in competition, a name, if you will. And, with Kermit Cintron, man, we've seen ups and downs from him. We've seen him, beat Alfredo Angulo, and then get knocked out twice by Margarito, and looked as if he was on his way to having a decent performance against Paul Williams until he fell through the ropes. So, man, like Kermit Cintron's, his whole career has been like an up and down roller coaster. But Saul Alvarez, young kid, 21 years old, getting into the prime of his career, and I think now is the time where they're starting to feed him not so much dangerous opponents, but fighters we know. Obviously, with Carlos Baldomir, we knew him from the Mayweather fight, and with Cintron, if you've been watching boxing the last 5-6 years maybe, you should know who he is. So they're gradually bringing him up, man, and he looked dominant against him. I think the stigma with Alvarez is, with a lot of fighters that are coming up, man, when you see little vulnerabilities, it seems as if people take those and go to the stars with them, as opposed to really looking at the attributes that he does have and seeing what he can do with that. Because look, not every fighter is perfect, so I think Alvarez is a strong kid, pretty fast for a middleweight, commits to his shots, which is something that I see a lot of boxers not do so much these days. It seems as if like he'll take a risk to commit to his shots, and we've seen Canelo get hit, but I think that is attributed to him committing to his shots, which isn't a bad thing, man, because his shots do hurt. And from here, man, he called out Mayweather after the fight, but I don't think that fight's gonna happen. I think it's I think he's gonna move to middleweight, and the fight that at least I want to see it is a fight with him and Chavez Jr. Two young, getting into their primes, and it's the Battle of Mexico. And it's a fight when you get two Mexicans in the ring, man. We could talk about Barrera Morales, Marquez Barrera. Those fights, man, make for exciting fights, man, because especially for those two guys, they'll fight. Canelo's more of a boxer, but he, like I said, man, he commits to his shots. So it's an interesting fight, and I think they're gonna let it materialize, but I hope it's not a situation where they let it materialize too much to the point where one guy gets in the ring with somebody who has his number, and then there's money down the drain. So what else is there to talk about? Oh yeah, the ongoing saga of Mayweather-Pacquiao. The word is, from what we're seeing, man, it looks as if they're trying to make this fight happen. Floyd Mayweather is on this tip that he's got May 5th down. He's ready to sign the contract. He's waiting for Pacquiao. Bob Arum saying that they're getting the negotiations situated. Michael Kantz apparently met Mayweather at the Mayweather Boxing Club. These are things, I guess, that are hopefully leading to the fight happening. But, I take it with a grain of salt because we've been down this road before. And though it sounds exciting, I'm not gonna get overly excited, plan my party or any of that until I see at least the 24/7 debut. But we'll see what happens. I don't think we're gonna hear anything solidified until the new year. So we'll see what happens with that. So on to Cotto Margarito 2 this weekend. I already gave my prediction video. I have Cotto winning this fight. Interestingly enough, I was on ESPN and they have for the big fights that they do these segments called 12 rounds where they look at different attributes of a fighter and see who has the advantage. And though I have Cotto winning this fight, it was interesting that they were picking stamina in the side of Cotto, and they were picking punching power on the side of Cotto, which, you know what, is disputable too, because if Margarito did use the plaster in the fight with Cotto, then it's tough to say if he legitimately has power now, because since the Cotto fight, we have nothing to base that off of. So I guess they're going off of that, and they're saying strength was to Cotto, and I'm like, I don't know about that. I think Margarito may be a stronger guy than Cotto. That doesn't mean he punches harder, but as far as utilizing your body to push the fight, or whenever you're clinching, to really enforce your body. I mean, I think the strength factor could go to Margarito, man. I mean, that's not, that's just physics. To be honest with you, but the 24/7s have been pretty good. I mean, I think the first episode was the best one. Got a little emotional with Cotto talking about his father and everything, and obviously, I fortunately can't relate to that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been in that situation, and that's something you can't A, prepare for it, and B, that's not something that you close the door on immediately. So going into this fight, man, I mean, you have to think of the emotion that Cotto has going in there with that, along with trying to, like I said in my prediction video, trying to get that black cloud over his career out of the way. So there's a lot of things in the side of Cotto that he has to really gain and will really brighten up his career and close the door on what really turned his career upside down. And really, for Margarito, man, he has the opportunity to silence the critics. So it's an interesting tug of war of who really is fighting for redemption. I mean, they both are, but as with Cotto, he may have a revenge factor. So as far as him maybe being too emotional, meaning Cotto, that may not be the smartest thing. You still gotta have your head screwed on right and stick to a game plan. If Cotto does that, I believe he will win this fight. But Margarito is not to be slept on, man. I mean, he's a tough son of a bitch, and unfortunately for his health's sake, I mean, I'm not somebody who wishes death or permanent damage upon anybody. I mean, even considering what Margarito may have done to Cotto, man, like, you never want to see somebody get killed in the ring, man. I mean, that's just, it's not cool, because then it shines a bad light on the sport. But I think that's the problem Margarito's gonna have in this fight, is he's gonna go in thinking Cotto can't hurt him, but he did the same thing with Pacquiao. And he may say Pacquiao didn't hurt him, but his face told a different story. So, like I said, man, I got Cotto winning this fight. I hope everybody has a good time. Don't get too annihilated and drive, especially. So, I expect a good fight, a good card, really, man. Forget about the Brandon Rios fight with Murray. Forget the rematch with Warlock and Rodriguez. So, I mean, it's actually a good night of boxing. And Mike Jones, too. So, like I said, man, everybody enjoy themselves, and I'll be back maybe Sunday or Monday to do the recap.